Hello there everyone, my name is CM Freeze, and in this video I'm going to be going over the 2024-2025 St. Louis Cardinals offseason, along with my projections and what the team looks like for the 2025 season, or the 2025 season review as I should say. Now, typically, I would do an offseason video and a season review video, or a preseason review video, separately. So I'd go over all the moves that the St. Louis Cardinals made in the offseason, and then I would make another video giving my projections and breaking down the roster for the current season. However, that is going to be impossible to do because if I made a St. Louis Cardinals offseason review video, it might last about 30 seconds. You see, the St. Louis Cardinals this offseason did nothing. Literally nothing. And when I say nothing, you might think that I'm joking. They did not. The St. Louis Cardinals signed one free agent and made no trades. Also, all the guys that they needed to sign who were free agents, they let walk. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but they let all of their free agents walk. Guys that were on arbitration, they gave arbitration to, but free agents, they let them walk. And we signed one free agent. And we made no trades. To me personally, I really have no clue what the St. Louis Cardinals are doing. I have a guess, and I'll explain more of it in depth. But if I had to guess, I would say that what the St. Louis Cardinals are doing are they are seeing what they have with this team now, and at the trade deadline, if it's pretty clear they aren't going to make the playoffs, they're just going to gut their roster. Because they have trade pieces who they've just either been unable to trade or have just been unwilling to trade. Who knows, right? Nobody knows except the Cardinals themselves. But it's like the Cardinals are stuck in a middle. They have a roster that's arguably not good enough to make the playoffs, but they also aren't going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, hopefully. But I don't see them making the playoffs with this roster. So you're kind of right in the middle, right? Which is somewhere you don't want to be, but let's just get into the video, man. Like I said, I've already talked about the offseason. You want to know what the St. Louis Cardinals did this offseason? They have the same exact damn team as last year. Literally, they have the same exact team as last year. Except they signed one free agent, and he's some nobody. Let's see, I don't want to be rude here, but does anyone know who Phil Maton is? I can't lie. I have never heard of this guy before in my life. Last year, it seems like he did pretty good. He had a 3.66 ERA, but he's a career 4 ERA guy. Regardless, I mean, I shouldn't say 3.66 as spectacular or anything like that, but he's not terrible, I guess. So we signed a not terrible relief pitcher. Was our only free agent signing, was Phil Maton. Literally our only free agent signing. I had no clue who Phil Maton was before the Cardinals signed him. I like to think that I know a good amount of baseball players. No clue who this dude is, but he's going to be in our starting row bullpen. Or he's going to be in our relief bullpen this year in the majors, so there's that. So something that I need to quickly go over for people to kind of understand what's going on with the St. Louis Cardinals right now is something that I haven't really ever seen before or heard of, and I just think it's an absolute mess for the St. Louis Cardinals. So John Mozeliak has been their president of baseball since 2017. Now, I can't lie, I don't really know how other teams work. From my personal understanding, it's always been you have a head coach and then a general manager. At least that's how I know how football, basketball, hockey works, and I thought that's how baseball worked, but the Cardinals do it differently. Their head coach, they also call their manager. So Oliver Marmol, his official title with the Cardinals is their manager. Not head coach, team manager. And John Mozeliak is called the president of baseball. It's a role that the St. Louis Cardinals created in 2017 and made him the president of baseball. As you can see here, June 30th, 2017, the first named to that position in franchise history. But Mozeliak has been with the Cardinals for 30 years now. He's been a key part of our management core, and he's the guy at the top, obviously, besides the owner, but he's at the very top there for the St. Louis Cardinals. Last year, the St. Louis Cardinals brought over Shane Bloom from the Boston Red Sox. He was in their management team. I forget the exact title. Down here it says he was their baseball chief. Like I said, different teams run things differently, so I don't know exactly high up Bloom was for the Red Sox. But they brought up one of the higher guys from the Boston Red Sox over to the St. Louis Cardinals, and last year made him an advisor for the team. So basically, he just watched the entire team and advised, so I don't know what that meant. If it just meant he took notes, not really too sure, but that was just his goal, was just to watch the team and use the knowledge that he learned to help make a better team for the future. This year, the St. Louis Cardinals and John Mozeliak says, hey, this is going to be my last year, and after this year, Bloom is going to take over for the general management role. Or president of baseball, I should say, not general manager. Bloom is going to take over for president of baseball next year. I can't recall ever seeing that before, where a general manager, or in this case, a president of baseball, said, you know what, I'm stepping down, and here's going to be my replacement. Most of the time, they get fired. And I guess that's a good thing for John Mozeliak, that he's been so successful with the Cardinals for so long that he has the ability to just retire, and they already have his chain of command next to him. But then it really makes you think, if the general manager's already in the building, along with the guy who's going to step up for the general manager, is there a power struggle going on between the two? Because obviously John Mozeliak, you would think, wouldn't want to do something that Bloom wouldn't want the team to do. A lot of the times when, or I feel like a lot of the times when an assistant coach steps up, say, you know, I like to think of football. When an offensive coordinator leaves for another team to be a head coach, it'll typically be an assistant offensive coordinator, or like a quarterback's coach, a running back's coach, someone that already knew the playbook of the previous coordinator to step in for that role. They were on the same page. Bloom was brought over from the Red Sox. Him and Mozeliak never had to be on the same page. It's not like Mozeliak trained him. It's not like Mozeliak was telling him what to do. Bloom's his own guy. He was brought over and just told to assess the team. Also, John Mozeliak is in his last year of general manager. He's done nothing. Mozeliak has literally done nothing as the president of baseball. So I'm really confused on why even stay. Why stay for one more year if you're going to sign one free agent? Like, what is Mozeliak actually doing? And why is he even staying? Why not just retire last year if this year you're going to do absolutely nothing? I understand maybe he wants to win with the Cardinals now, but if you think he would want to win now, and last year they didn't make the playoffs, he really thinks that they're going to make the playoffs this year with this team, right? So he said, hey guys, last year this was our team, we didn't make the playoffs. Let's just run it back. I'm sure we're going to make the playoffs this year and not make any moves. So I don't really understand what's happening at the top with the St. Louis Cardinals here. I really don't. Maybe Mozeliak, like I said, doesn't want to do anything that hurts Bloom, so he's just not making any moves at all. But if that's the case, then why not just have Bloom be the president of baseball? I really do not understand what is going on at the top of the chain for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's very confusing. It just makes no sense to me. Then let's talk about what the plan was for the St. Louis Cardinals, right? The St. Louis Cardinals said that they had a plan. The plan for the St. Louis Cardinals for this year is they came out and said that they're focusing on their youth and development. They're going to try to develop their current farm system and set their sights on 2026. So I don't really want to say have a rebuild year, because when I think of a rebuilding the team, I think about trading all of your old assets for, you know, younger stars. So that's not what they're doing, but they're also not being competitive. It's just really weird. I mean, as you can see here, the St. Louis Cardinals said that they had interest in keeping guys like Paul Goldschmidt and some of their relievers, and then they just didn't sign anybody. The Cardinals also did come out and say that their payroll was going to decrease. I believe that there's a line in here from when they had their off-season meeting. Oh yeah, here it is. 8 to 12% increase in player development and improved technology will lead to a decrease in payroll at the MLB level. So the St. Louis Cardinals are going all in on developing their young talent that they have. And the St. Louis Cardinals do have a lot of young talent. We will get into that. But they didn't bring back any of their veterans, any of their guys, even though they said they were interested in keeping some of them. But they also were interested in trading some of their veterans as well. The biggest names are obviously Nolan Arenado and Ryan Helsley. I also think Wilson Contreras is up there as well. That's three guys all over the age of 30 that I believe the Cardinals very easily could trade. There's also Sonny Gray as well. They have a lot of pieces that they could have traded, but they didn't. Which, like I said, really makes me think that the Cardinals are going to hope and pray that maybe this team has enough gas in the tank to make it to the postseason. Maybe their young team can develop and get them there. But if not, they're going to trade them all at the trade deadline. That's what I think is going to happen. I really don't know. Like I said, at the trade deadline, if we aren't competitive, I do think we need to trade Sonny Gray. Probably need to trade Wilson Contreras. Definitely need to trade Arenado. Like, these are guys that aren't going to get any better in their career. Might as well trade them now while their value doesn't go down. Because it's not like if they're not good this year or if they're average this year, they're not going to be better next year. It's just how development works. It's just how age works. The Cardinals made it seem, like I said, they're going to focus on their young talent. It's just so weird. All the things the Cardinals said they were going to do at the offseason, they haven't done because they haven't done anything. So what was the point of having an off-season speech? What was the point of telling the fans what they're going to do this off-season if they've done nothing? They signed one free agent. One free agent. They did nothing. It's just so sad. Like, that's something you expect the White Sox to do. The White Sox made more signings. The Oakland A's made more signings. It's just disappointing. I just want to quickly look at last year's ranking, right? Last year in 2024, as you can see here, let me try to zoom in on this, actually. That better? Yeah. Last year in 2024, as you can see here, we went 83-79, missed the playoffs by 10 games. Does that actually miss the playoffs or how far we were from the top record? 10 games behind. I don't know if that means 10 games behind our division leader. I actually don't even know what that means. Oh, games behind division/league leader. Okay, well, is it division leader or league leader? I don't know. I guess 10 games behind doesn't matter. We missed the playoffs, right? We missed the playoffs. I think the Diamondbacks, or I think like the lowest, I think 89 wins is what the team who got the 6 wildcard spot had. So we were 6 games out of the playoffs. 6 games out of the playoffs. We've showed that, you know what, if we invested a little bit into our roster and made a couple of signings, we could get there. If we got a big name bat and a big name pitcher, we could get there. And instead we decided, you know what, this team's actually not good enough to win a World Series. Let's just focus on developing our young guys. Like I said, we got the same roster, and last year we were 6 games off. I don't know if we're thinking that with developing our players, we can become 6-game betters. I don't really know. We'll see what happens, right? But if you look at our 2023 season, where we actually were really bad, we actually were worse offensively, but much better pitching-wise. We allowed 110 less runs, which was really nice. However, we did have almost 50 less runs batted in. So it's just interesting to see, right? Also, we decided to keep around Ollie Marmol for his 4th year, even though in 3 years, Marmol hasn't even won a single playoff game yet. He's probably on the chopping block as well. I think if we have another bad season, I could really see Bloom coming in, starting next year, and completely cleaning house. I don't know. It's impossible to tell with this Cardinals team because, like I said, they have 2 guys in office right now who's the general manager and the future general manager. You can't have 2 guys at the top. Who knows what the Cardinals are trying to do, man? It's just, I have no clue myself. But anyways, let's talk about this St. Louis Cardinals 2025 opening day roster. Like I said, their first game is tomorrow. I will drop this video right before their first game, so this is the St. Louis Cardinals active 26-man roster. They have 13 pitchers, and they have 13 hitters. Pretty typical. Some teams I know do 14 hitters and 12 pitchers, but the Cardinals are doing a solid 13-13. And this is from their official website, so this is what they have their own guys listed as. Here is our starting pitching rotation. We obviously have Sonny Gray, who's our number 1. We gave Sonny Gray a 3-year contract last year to be our ace. And Sonny Gray at times looked really good, but down the stretch it got really bad. I'm pretty sure the last month he pitched, he had like a 5 ERA. It just got worse and worse for Sonny Gray. So it makes you question, did Sonny Gray, is he just getting old now? So the longer he pitches, the more his arm deteriorates. Is he going to be good at the start of the season and bad next year? Is how he finished last year a representation of what we're going to get this year? Who knows with Sonny Gray? Like I said, beginning of the season was really good, but just got worse and worse as the season went on. Then we have Eric Fetty, who was really good at the White Sox. We brought him over, and he did okay. Does it show you what he did with the Cardinals? Okay, it does show you what he did with the Cardinals. As you can see, he was worse with the Cardinals than he was with the White Sox. I knew that. I was just trying to show if there was actual stats that prove this. As you can see, his ERA was up by 0.6, and he had more losses with the Cardinals in 10 games than he did with the White Sox in 21. That is really bad considering how bad the White Sox were. In half the games, he had more losses with the Cardinals. So we traded for him, and he didn't do as good. Now, unfortunately, I think a 3.7 ERA is the best ERA out of all of our starting pitchers. But Eric Fetty, we traded for him. He didn't do that good. He's on the last year of his contract, and it's cheap. Hopefully, we get the Eric Fetty that was good with the Chicago White Sox, but who knows. Miles Mikolas, I actually have a lot of issues with him being here. I have a lot of issues with Miles Mikolas being on the starting rotation, and I will get back to that. But Miles Mikolas, I know he's on the last year of his contract, so I think it's just they didn't want to cut him or something. I don't know, but Miles Mikolas has been really, really bad the last 2 years. Like, just look at Miles Mikolas in 2024, man. I mean, just look at this. 3.35 regular season ERA. Miles Mikolas has always been a pitch-to-contact pitcher. He's thrived on creating weak contact and letting his outfield handle the rest. He's never really been a strikeout guy. And Miles Mikolas, he's just getting older. So his pitches that used to get a lot of weak contact got a little less spin on him, got a little less heat on him. He's just getting older. He was great for us the first couple of years we had him, but the last 2 years he's been really, really bad. A 5.35 ERA. I understand that he's a great locker room presence. I really do. I know the guys really like him in the locker room. But he's 36, man. And when you say we're spending this year to focus on young development, and we have multiple young pitchers in our farm system that aren't getting the knock over Miles Mikolas, really ticks me off. Now, I'll get back to those young pitchers. I know a lot of them are definitely going to be in the show this year. But I have no clue why Miles Mikolas is starting, man. I really don't know. If I was the president of baseball, I would have hands down cut him and instead put in one of our young pitchers that we have, like Quinn Matthews, Michael McGreevy. I'll go over those guys in a little bit after I get done with the roster, but I really don't know why our third best pitcher is a 5 ERA guy, but whatever. Then we have Andrew Palante here, who is young, and he has shown some flashes, but not really. At this point, Andrew Palante's career, I just don't know, man. Like, how much better can he get? Like, he needs to get a lot better to be considered a great pitcher. I would say he's an average pitcher, maybe. Like I said, average pitcher. Last year, he pitched 29 games for us. He started in 20 games, 8-8. 3.78 ERA. It's not terrible. Like, it's definitely not ace numbers. Like, I guess he's a good 4th, 5th guy to have in your rotation, And he's young still, but it's not like it's anything special. Like I said, he's a good 4th, 5th option. But you would want a very strong core 3 guys, and he's not one of those very strong core 3 guys. Like I said, he's a great 4th and 5th day pitcher to make sure that your starters have rest. But, he's going to have to improve a lot. And he's already played in, 138 games, starting in 30 of them. It's just tough with Palante, right? Can he take a step up? Maybe. But I don't know. And then this is a surprise. Matthew Liberatore is actually a starter for us. I really thought it was going to be Steven Matz. Libby was a reliever last year, and he was actually probably our best reliever. Libby did really good as a reliever for us last year, but I guess the St. Louis Cardinals want to try him as a starting pitcher again. He's shown flashes. He's shown more flashes than Palante has given us, and most importantly, he's left-handed. As you can see here, all 4 of our starters are right-handed. He's our only southpaw there in our starting rotation. I hope Libby does good as a starter. Like I said, he did really good at our bullpen last year as a relief pitcher. There were also times where Andrew Palate would start a game, and then Liberatore would come in like the 4th or 5th inning, and we'd kind of have a 2-starter sort of thing going on, or a bullpen game, as they would call it. They're going to try him as starter again, and he didn't do the best as starter for us. Like I said, he showed flashes. I have higher faith in him being better than Palante. I mean, we can see Liberatore's stats as well. You know, he had a higher ERA, but like I said, it's because he's coming out of the bullpen. So bullpen guys are just going to have a higher ERA. Apparently, he did great in spring training, though. You know, that doesn't really mean much, but we'll see what happens with Liberatore. I have high hopes for him. Like I said, he did great in our bullpen. He might just be a bullpen guy, which isn't an issue. Who knows, right? And then looking at our bullpen, we still have Ryan Helsley. Like I said, phenomenal closer for us. When he comes in, you don't have to worry. But I would say he's probably our biggest trade piece. He is a free agent. He is 30 this year. If we aren't doing good, I could 100% see us trading Ryan Helsley. I think he's our most likely to be traded player. There's also Arenado, but what's going on with him, right? And then the rest of our bullpen, there's not too much that really needs to be talked about. Like I said, Steven Matz in the bullpen, I guess, is a little bit interesting. I think he'll kind of be a guy that does long-term relief, like if Palate's not having a good start, or Liberatore, or Miles Michaelis. You know, John King's coming back. He was pretty good for us last year. Like I said, Phil Matten, he's okay. You know, Chris Roykoff was doing pretty good for us too. Jojo Romero. You know, we have a decent bullpen. It's nothing crazy, right? Like, the bullpen isn't spectacular, but it's also not terrible. It's an average bullpen. Now we're getting into our hitters here, right? At catcher, we have Pedro Pages and Ivan Herrera. Ivan Herrera is starting. I don't know why Pedro Pages is above here. I know that Ivan Herrera on the depth chart is actually starting. Herrera looked really good as catcher last year, man. He actually really did. He had a couple of home runs. He was doing really good for us hitting-wise. I have high hopes for Ivan Herrera. Obviously, you got to fill the role of Yadier Molina, which is physically impossible, but he's a decent catcher, right? And he's young, too. He's only 25, so he can, or I guess he's 24. Hasn't even turned 25 yet. He can continue to develop. Wilson Contreras, who was our catcher, we moved to first base to replace Paul Goldschmidt. So we'll see how that goes, right? We'll see how that goes. Alec Burleson is supposed to be our starting DH. Does it say it down here? Yes, it does. Burleson playing DH. Something that I really like about our team, though, especially our batters, is how versatile they are. Like I said, Alex Burleson can play first base. He's also played right field. You have Brendan Donovan that can literally play any single position for us. You have Mason Wynn, who can play shortstop, but he can also play second base if you need him to. Our outfielders can all be moved around. Ciani, Victor Scott. Jordan Walker's even played third base before. I believe that's what he was a third baseman, but we moved him to the outfield because of, obviously, we have Nolan Arenado. So we have so many guys that can be moved around that when guys need days off, we're going to have plenty of guys to fill positions. I feel like our outfield is going to be very nice. Our fielding is going to be really good. I really like our fielding. That's probably the best part of our team, honestly, is that fielding. Burleson had a really good year for us last year, kind of a breakout year, which he definitely needed. Now that I believe he's going to be 27 with it. That he's going to be 27 by the end of the year. But Burleson had a really nice year for us. Lucan Bader making the roster is kind of surprising to me. I heard he had a good preseason. Is that the case? I mean, 44 at-bats, 12 hits. I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's 28 and he's done basically nothing in his MLB career. That's kind of bad. We'll see what happens with Lucan Bader, but I think he's definitely the odd man out on this team. I don't even really know how he got a starting job. We'll see. I hope he proves me wrong. But Nolan Gorman has obviously been incredibly up and down. He's got power, but he just strikes out so much too. We really hope he can put it together. Brendan Donovan, I know, is our starting second baseman. He's been really good for us. Just a nice utility man. I love Brendan Donovan. Nolan Arenado, somehow still here. He was supposed to be traded, but we just can't find a trade for him, so here's Nolan Arenado. Obviously, Mason Wynn, our guy, our golden guy. Then in the outfield, we got a couple of outfielders here. Obviously, we got Lars Nootbaar. We have both Michael Ciani and Victor Scott. And then we have Jordan Walker at right field. Hopefully, Walker can get it together this year. I really hope, though, we just keep him in the outfield. Jordan Walker is someone that is really good in AAA and then just struggles in the major league. Just keep him in the major league, man. We know what he can do. I think he just needs to get his confidence, just needs to get his at-bats. So all in all, I believe that our starting roster for tomorrow is going to look like this. We're going to have Javon Herrera starting at catcher. Wilson Contreras is first base. Brendan Donovan is second base. Nolan Arenado's third base. Mason Wynn is shortstop. Lars Nootbaar is left field. Victor Scott is center field. Jordan Walker is right field. Alec Burleson's our DH. And then Nolan Gorman, Lucan Bader, Michael Ciani, and Pedro Pajes are the four guys that are going to be on our bench. This video is getting kind of long, so the last thing I just want to quickly go over is our farm system. Our farm system isn't the best in the world, but it does have some bright spots. Especially there are a couple of pitchers that I'm really excited about. Primarily Quinn Matthews, Cooper, not even going to try to pronounce his last name, and Michael McGreevy. I have no clue how Michael McGreevy isn't on our starting roster. Last year, he played really good for us. He had a really good spring training this year, and we sent him down to AAA over Miles Michaelis. I would even say that I would prefer Michael McGreevy over Andre Palante as well. Michael McGreevy, I believe, had 4 starts for us last year, looked excellent in all 4 of them, and had an excellent spring training. Why is he in AAA? Another guy is Quinn Matthews. Quinn Matthews, we drafted him in 2023, and then since we drafted him in 2023 and then all of last year, he rose up A, AA, and AAA, and has dominated at all of them. I believe he also had a really good spring training for us as well. Is he on our... he's not even on our 40-man roster. How is Quinn Matthews not on our 40-man roster? That makes no sense. But let's look at some of these pitchers that are. Michael McGreevy is on our minor league roster, and I guarantee if anything were to happen to any of our pitchers, he's the very first guy that's getting called up. Another one who's been a top prospect for us for a really long time, and someone that is on the current top 100 list, is Tink Hintz. I'm pretty sure our top 3 guys are our only 3 guys that are on the top 100, which doesn't really matter that much, but it just says how the league views them. Tink Hintz has been with us for like the last 3 or 4 years now. I think he's more of a bullpen guy. I think he'll be a really good reliever for us, but I don't know too much about starting. But it's like Quinn Matthews has just been dominant, but I guess we want him to continue to prove himself because he was only drafted in 2023, which I kind of get. But Michael McGreevy being in the minors is atrocious. He should definitely be there. We should have cut Michaelis and had McGreevy in there. If our goal is to develop young talent, right? We're trying to develop young talent. Why are we having a guy that's been dominant for us for the last 4 games and spring training starting the league in AAA, man? Like I said, I guarantee he's going to be the first guy that gets called up when an injury happens. Injuries always happen. No way you're going to make it the entire season with all 5 of your starting guys not getting hurt. Or in case, you know what, there's on games that you play double headers, you're allowed to call a guy up. I could see us maybe calling up McGreevy to start in one of those. We'll have to see what happens, man. But I do like some of our pitching options that we have. Also, Cooper from Oregon State. He was our first-round pick, I believe, like 2 years ago. I think he can really develop this year, and we could maybe even see him. He isn't even in AAA, though, so maybe not. If we were going to bring up a left-handed pitcher, we're definitely going to be bringing up Quinn Matthews over Cooper, I believe, right now. We'll really have to see what happens here with the St. Louis Cardinals. Obviously, we drafted J.J. Weatherholt 7th overall. And also something that is really cool that I'm just going to briefly talk about is in the draft, we did end up getting the 5th best. We did end up getting pick 5 So we are going to be getting some more help at the draft as well, getting the 5th best player, which I'm sure we'll probably use on a pitcher. So anyways, guys, that's been the St. Louis Cardinals video. A little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I just had to go over the entire team. Like I said, I keep the offseason too in this. We had no offseason. I'm hoping for a decent year, but like I said, we have basically the same exact team as last year. We went 83-79 last year. I wouldn't be surprised if we blow up this roster at the midseason, so I think we could be average going into the All-Star break. Blow up the team. It's really tough to predict what we're going to do. I think we're probably a little bit worse than an 81-81 team, so if I had to guess, I would probably say we're going to be like a 75-87 team, if I had to guess. A little bit below average. I think 75-87 is a pretty good record to put us at. I don't think we're going to be plus 500. So if I had to guess, I would say we're probably going to be in between 70 and 80 wins is where I think this St. Louis Cardinals team will be. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know if you agree or disagree with my takes down below. And peace out. And I really hope the Cardinals do make the postseason this year. But I'm a realistic fan, and I don't think it's going to happen.